What if I told you that the greatest threat to your life right now isn't failure, poverty, or other people, but comfort? A soft, silent comfort that dulls your edge while convincing you everything is fine. Look around. People aren't broken because they're incapable. They're broken because their minds are weak, overstimulated, distracted, and constantly seeking escape. We scroll endlessly. We compare relentlessly. We envy quietly. And then, late at night, we wonder why we feel empty, anxious, and stuck in a life that doesn't feel like our own. We chase pleasure and feel burned out. We avoid pain and yet suffer every single day. That contradiction isn't an accident. It's the result of a mindset we were never taught to question. Comfort whispers safety, but slowly steals your strength. Struggle, on the other hand, feels cruel in the moment, but it forges power, clarity, and self-respect. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. The life you want is on the other side of the discomfort you keep avoiding. Now, here's where it gets dangerous, in a good way. Long before dopamine loops, social media, and modern self-help gurus, the ancient Stoics saw this collapse coming. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, warrior, and Stoic philosopher, wrote words that could shatter your excuses today. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not a pretty quote for your feed. That's a weapon, a mental blade forged for chaos, a philosophy designed to make you unshakable in a collapsing world. Stoicism doesn't promise happiness, it promises mastery. It doesn't make life easier, it makes you stronger, calm under pressure, clear in confusion, relentless without losing your soul. Here at Stoic Sage Academy, we don't deal in motivational sugar or empty hype. In this video, we're diving into 8 brutal Stoic laws, principles so sharp they will expose your weaknesses, challenge your habits, and force you to level up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. These laws were battle-tested in ancient Rome, written by men who faced exile, war, betrayal, and death, and they are more relevant now than ever. But listen carefully. This is not a video you half-watch while scrolling. This is not background noise. This is a wake-up call. If you're serious about reclaiming control over your mind and your life, engage with this. Like the video right now. Comment when a truth hits hard, because it will. Share it with someone who's drifting without direction, and do not skip a single law. One missed principle could cost you clarity, discipline, or courage at the exact moment you'll need it most. If you're ready to stop living in quiet defeat and start living with quiet power, let's begin. Law 1. Make discomfort your ally, not your enemy. We've been conditioned since childhood to treat pain like a disease, something to avoid, numb, or escape at all costs. The Stoics saw it very differently. They didn't just tolerate discomfort, they welcomed it. They walked toward it with clear eyes and steady breath. Ask yourself this honestly. When did you grow the most? Was it during periods of ease, when everything flowed smoothly and nothing challenged you? Or was it during moments of pressure, loss, fear, and uncertainty, when life forced you to adapt or break? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire under constant threat. War, betrayal, plague, chronic illness. His life was anything but comfortable. Yet he didn't complain or collapse. He used hardship as a forge. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't motivational poetry. It's a Stoic law of reality. Obstacles are not interruptions to your path. They are the path. Resistance sharpens resolve. Delay trains patience. Rejection strengthens the spine. Modern culture screams, avoid pain at all costs. Stoicism answers calmly, prepare for it. The cold shower when you want warmth. The uncomfortable conversation you keep postponing. The workout when your body begs for rest. The quiet discipline when motivation is gone. In these moments, your character is being carved, layer by layer. The Stoics believed in voluntary hardship, not because they hated comfort, but because they refused to be owned by it. Seneca intentionally slept on hard floors, ate simple food, wore plain clothing. Why? So that when fortune turned, and it always does, he wouldn't panic. He had rehearsed hardship. He had trained for reality. Here's the truth most people miss. Discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. It reveals your weaknesses without mercy, but also your potential without limits. Avoid small discomfort now, and life will hand you massive suffering later. Face it early, consciously, and something powerful happens. You stop fearing pain. And the moment pain loses its grip on you, freedom begins. From now on, treat discomfort like a sparring partner. It may bruise you, but it's making you dangerous in the best way. Choose one controlled discomfort today and do it with no negotiation. Cold exposure, hard work, silence, boredom. This is how warriors are built, not by comfort, but by confrontation. Drop this in the comments and mean it. Discomfort is my training ground. Law 2. Refuse to be ruled by your emotions. How much of your day is dictated by how you feel? A careless comment ruins your mood. A setback derails your discipline. A wave of laziness cancels your plans. This isn't weakness unique to you, it's the human condition. But here's the Stoic verdict, and it's brutal. If your emotions control your actions, you are not free, you are owned. And the Stoics believed that being enslaved by emotion is worse than physical chains. Epictetus, once a slave himself, put it clearly: any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Let that land. Every time you explode, sulk, or spiral, you hand over authority. The driver who cuts you off steals your peace. The breakup defines your worth. A stranger online hijacks your joy. Not because they're powerful, but because you gave them permission. Stoicism doesn't demand emotional suppression. It demands emotional command. You don't deny feelings, you observe them. You create space between stimulus and response. The difference between a child and a Stoic is simple. The child reacts instantly. The Stoic pauses, reflects, and chooses. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's not passive acceptance, that's sovereignty of the mind. And yes, this idea is uncomfortable because it removes excuses. You can no longer say, "They made me angry." You must say, "I allowed myself to be disturbed." That accountability is heavy, but it's also empowering. Because if you chose the reaction once, you can choose again. You can feel anger without acting on it, fear without freezing, sadness without drowning. This is emotional strength. This is Stoic freedom. Next time you're triggered, pause, breathe, ask one question: is this emotion serving me right now? Then respond deliberately. This isn't becoming cold or robotic, it's becoming disciplined. When emotions stop owning you, clarity takes their place. You become steady in a chaotic world. People notice you're no longer reactive, volatile, or easily shaken. You're grounded. And that kind of calm is rare and powerful. Real growth begins the moment you stop being a puppet and start being the one holding the strings. Law 3. Abandon the illusion of fairness. Life owes you nothing, and the faster you accept that, the less you suffer. One of the quickest paths to bitterness is the belief that life should be fair. You work harder and someone else gets rewarded. You love sincerely and are left behind. You act with integrity and still lose. And the mind protests, "This isn't fair." Stoicism cuts through that illusion. Fairness is not a law of nature, it's a human invention. Marcus Aurelius saw injustice daily, even as emperor. He wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Yet he didn't waste energy complaining. He grounded himself in a harsher, truer principle. Life isn't about fairness, it's about resilience.
The Stoics expected loss, pain, betrayal, and change. Because they expected it, they weren't shattered by it. Expecting fairness makes you fragile. Expecting reality makes you strong. Let's be honest. When we cry unfair, what we often mean is, "I don't want to deal with this." But growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. Here's the Stoic law. You don't grow by demanding justice from the universe. You grow by mastering yourself despite the chaos. Good people suffer. Bad people sometimes win. Effort isn't always rewarded. That's not pessimism, it's clarity. The average person waits for fairness. The Stoic builds inner strength so complete that unfairness can't destroy them. This doesn't mean becoming cold, it means becoming self-reliant. You stop waiting for the world to validate you and start validating yourself through action. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, especially in an unfair world." So instead of complaining, you convert pain into fuel. You build skills that can't be ignored. You love without entitlement. You face betrayal with dignity. This is radical responsibility, not because everything is your fault, but because every response is your choice. Life strikes where it will. You decide how you stand afterward. Fairness is never guaranteed, but freedom is earned. One disciplined choice at a time. Law 4. Control what is yours. Release the rest. The Stoics located human power in a very narrow space, and that's what makes it unstoppable. Epictetus said it plainly, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." That single sentence can dissolve most anxiety if lived fully. Most people suffer because they fight battles they can't win. They try to control other people's opinions, predict outcomes, manipulate circumstances, and when reality resists, as it always does, they feel helpless and angry. So let's clarify. What is actually under your control? Your thoughts, your values, your actions, your effort, your response. Everything else, luck, outcomes, opinions, timing, is not. You can't control the weather, but you can prepare for it. You can't control who likes you, but you can control your integrity. You can't control the economy, but you can control your discipline, learning, and preparation. This shift is everything. It pulls your energy back from chaos and centers it where it belongs. You stop scattering yourself across 1,000 worries and stand firmly in your own agency. Picture a storm at sea. The Stoic doesn't curse the wind. He grips the wheel. He adjusts the sails. He navigates. That's why Stoics remain calm when others panic, focused when others complain. It's not about denying the outside world. It's about choosing where your attention goes. Most worries live entirely outside your control and drain your life because of it. Here's a daily practice. When stress arises, ask, "Is this within my control?" If yes, act decisively. If no, release it completely. Simple in theory, difficult in practice, transformational in effect. Marcus Aurelius reminds us again, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Live by this and you become unshakable, not because life bends to you, but because you never bend away from yourself. Law 5. Choose hardship on purpose and forge an unbreakable will. In a world intoxicated with ease, discipline becomes a rare and dangerous advantage. The Stoics understood something most people today have forgotten. If you don't challenge yourself, life will do it for you at the worst possible moment. They didn't wait for suffering to arrive. They stepped into it willingly, not out of self-punishment, but out of preparation, not to feel miserable, but to become resilient. Seneca made this practice explicit. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition I feared?' That question alone is powerful. Is this really what I was afraid of?" This was voluntary hardship, a conscious decision to experience discomfort so that the mind would not collapse when comfort disappeared. It was training for reality. Now, look at modern life. We are insulated from discomfort at every level. Food on demand, entertainment without pause, constant stimulation. Silence feels unbearable. Boredom feels like torture. Most people never willingly deny themselves anything. And then life hits. Loss, stress, pressure, rejection, and they fall apart. Panic, victimhood, excuses. The Stoic is different. They've rehearsed the hard days. They've practiced hunger, fatigue, restraint, loneliness, boredom, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they refuse to be shocked by it. This doesn't make them invincible, it makes them adaptable, and adaptability is real power. Willpower is not built by consuming motivation. It's built by action, specifically by doing what you don't want to do on purpose. Voluntary hardship can be simple but sharp. Fasting for a day to remind yourself that urges don't own you, stepping into cold water when every instinct resists, turning down a luxury you can afford just to strengthen restraint, waking before dawn to train while the world sleeps. These choices seem small, but they compound. Over time, something changes. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop being ruled by comfort. You become formidable, not because you're harsh with yourself, but because you've learned the truth. Comfort softens, challenge hardens. And when real hardship arrives, as it always does, you don't flinch. You recognize it. You've been here before. Marcus Aurelius lived through plague, war, and betrayal, yet his writings are calm, grounded, unshaken. Why? Because hardship wasn't a surprise to him. It was expected. And when hardship is expected, it loses its power to freeze you. So stop asking, how can I make life easier? Ask instead, how can I make myself stronger? Practice being uncomfortable. Practice being alone. Practice being tired, hungry, rejected, bored, and staying disciplined anyway. One day, life will demand more from you than you think you can give. And when that day comes, you won't break. You'll rise. Law 6. Release the outcome. Devote yourself to the process. We are trained to worship results, titles, money, recognition, winning. Stoicism dismantles that obsession. It teaches something far more stabilizing. Detach from outcomes and master your process. Why? Because outcomes are never guaranteed, but effort always belongs to you. Epictetus said it plainly, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. The moment you cling to results, you place your peace in fragile hands. You train for a week, see no visible progress, and quit. You build something, it fails, and your identity collapses. You love someone, they leave, and your sense of self vanishes. Stoicism offers another way. Fall in love with the work itself, the repetition, the discipline, the learning, the daily showing up. When your satisfaction comes from the process, you cannot lose. Even if the outcome disappoints, your character has already advanced. Here's the paradox. When you stop needing the outcome, you often perform better. You're no longer desperate, no longer chasing validation, no longer emotionally attached to applause. You become calm, focused, precise, dangerous in your consistency. Marcus Aurelius wrote again, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason, which today arm you against the present." In other words, stop borrowing anxiety from the future. Just execute your process today with courage and discipline.
Write to sharpen your mind, not to go viral. Train to master your body, not just to win. Build because the work itself matters. The moment your worth depends on outcomes, you become fragile. The moment it depends on discipline, intention, and effort, you become unstoppable. Adopt this Stoic stance. Act as if the result is already settled, and your only job is to honor the craft. Success or failure becomes secondary. You've already won, because you showed up. Law 7. Remember death and live with precision and urgency. Most people live as if time is unlimited. They postpone dreams, tolerate misery, drift through habits they know are killing them slowly. The Stoics refused this illusion. They practiced memento mori. Remember, you will die. Not to scare themselves, but to wake themselves up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This isn't morbid, it's clarifying. It strips away nonsense. It exposes excuses. It reminds you that later is not promised. You don't get endless retries. You don't get infinite tomorrows. Every wasted hour is gone forever. The Stoics meditated on death so they could live more fully. When you truly accept your mortality, you stop wasting energy on trivial arguments. You stop numbing yourself with distraction. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You start acting, creating, loving, speaking honestly, moving now.
Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You may not control your lifespan, but you absolutely control how deeply you live within it. The most dangerous lie is, "There's still plenty of time." That risk you avoid, that apology you delay, that change you keep postponing, this is the moment. This is the time. The Stoic looks death in the eye and says, "You will not catch me asleep at the wheel of my life." This awareness doesn't create anxiety, it creates intensity, the kind that sharpens focus and burns away fear. Because when you accept death, failure loses its grip. What's left to fear when time itself is finite? Live like your days are numbered, because they are. And when you do, your presence changes, your priorities align, your energy sharpens, you move with purpose, not desperation. Law 8. Fight for virtue, not applause. Most people live for approval, likes, praise, recognition. The Stoic refuses this bargain. Marcus Aurelius said it simply, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." Virtue over visibility, integrity over applause. Live rightly even when no one is watching. Speak truth even when it costs you. Keep your word even when it's inconvenient. Train when the room is empty. That is virtue, and it builds a soul that cannot be bought or broken. Stoicism doesn't demand perfection, it demands principle. And here's the hard truth: doing the right thing is often lonely. It's easier to impress than to be authentic, easier to blend in than to stand firm, easier to chase praise than to face yourself honestly. But every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you strengthen something no one can take from you. You build an identity rooted in values, not opinions. Seneca said, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other." That's power. A life aligned inside and out. In a world obsessed with image, the Stoic is real. In a world drowning in noise, the Stoic is still. In a world performing for attention, the Stoic stands grounded in truth. If you want to be unstoppable, stop living for praise. Live for your values. Live so that even stripped of status, money, or followers, you would still respect yourself. Because the moment you no longer need the crowd, you become the kind of person they follow anyway. Be a warrior for what is right, not what is popular. Even if you walk alone, walk with conviction. If you've made it this far, something inside you already knows you're ready to shed distraction, weakness, and emotional chaos and step into mastery. Not perfection, power. Not control over others, but command over yourself. That is the Stoic path. It doesn't promise comfort, it offers clarity, direction, meaning in a collapsing world. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they didn't write for easy times. They wrote for storms, for loss, for chaos. They taught that true strength is not loud, it is steady. It is the person who keeps their word, faces fear without flinching, does the right thing when it's hardest. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need to begin now. Train the mind, expect hardship, release outcomes, hold your principles, live with urgency. And remember, you don't need applause. When you walk the Stoic path, your strength comes from within. And that kind of strength is rare, real, and yours. Drop this in the comments and own it. I am becoming unshakable day by day. If this message reached you, if something inside you stirred, tightened, or woke up, don't ignore that signal. That wasn't entertainment, that was recognition. Truth has a way of making itself felt before it's fully understood, so act on it. Like the video, write down the law that hit you the hardest and tell us why. Share this with someone who's drifting, someone who needs grounding, someone who's ready to stop numbing and start becoming.
And make sure you subscribe to Stoic Sage Academy, because this isn't just content, we're building something deeper here. This channel is a gathering place for disciplined minds, for thinkers who refuse to be ruled by emotion, for warriors who understand that real strength is quiet, internal, and earned daily. We are done with noise, done with empty motivation. We choose clarity. We choose responsibility. We choose purpose. And remember this, nothing in your life is wasted. Not the pain, not the delays, not the failures, not the loneliness. Do not skip chapters. Every moment is training. Every struggle is shaping you. Every setback is forging something in you that comfort never could. So keep showing up when it's hard. Keep choosing discipline over impulse. Keep walking forward even when no one is clapping. Stay steady with the process and ruthless with your excuses. This path won't make you popular, but it will make you powerful. It won't make life easy, but it will make you unshakable. Stay steady, stay sharp, and don't stop until you become unstoppable.